appreciate an omnibus bill, and I think that's an excellent idea. I think if we are going to do something with the capital, we ought to look perhaps at putting that piece out a little earlier rather than later, if at all possible, if you have a sense of where you're going with it. Not that I don't support an omnibus bill, I see the merits to it, but right now we have an inequity, and I'd love to have it settled sooner rather than later. With that being said, I also wanted to comment on House Bill 2881. You know, it was interesting when the governor testified on his bill. Quite frankly, to some degree, he could have been testifying on a multitude of bills. But one of the things he did comment was on a combo plan, and I appreciate that. And I believe Representative Peake and the panel that spoke on our behalf kind of hit the nail on the head with what they did in Denmark. And that was they made a conscious decision as well as to where they wanted to put their effort. And quite frankly, the thing that resonated most with me was the idea of being held hostage. As much as we may go for some other sources of energy, anytime you put all your eggs in one basket, you better have a good handle on that basket. You know, in my opinion, that would be owning that basket. I don't think that's going to happen, nor do I think it's realistic. But I do think that we ought to be looking at a multitude of sources, and we ought to make sure that we control and it benefits us directly as possible, rather than being habitually held hostage as we've seen in the past. Also, what I'd like to know is, I wasn't going to mention it if he came back in the room, but I already have my notes, but the gentleman from Taunton had made some good points as well. So I'm not looking to spur him on, but I am looking to suggest that he made excellent comments. And one of which, when he was talking about the combo platter, was looking at some of the intangibles, as far as whether it's wind or solar or whatever the case may be. And I think that you can't undermine that. I look at things like Pilgrim, and I see that Pilgrim should be closed, in my opinion. And quite frankly, what we ought to be doing is looking at things so that we can do that and relieve the entire Commonwealth of the potential hazards. And what would that cost be? In addition to Pilgrim, we can look at the fact that I have a bevy of sources in solar and wind where the prices actually come down. And that's the ultimate goal, so that we can be competitive. What the governor said wasn't lost on me. They're very valid points. We do need to keep businesses interested in here, but at the same time, we set the interest by making the Commonwealth what we appreciate and what we want it to represent throughout the country. So with that, with your indulgence, I'd like to introduce Richard Andre. He's the president of Vineyard Power, and I also have a selectman, Tobias Glidden from Nantucket. But with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Richard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Madden. Our organization, Vineyard Power, has worked over the last 5 years with the federal government to develop an offshore wind industry south of the island of Falmouth, where we live. We signed the first community benefits agreement that was recognized by Falmouth, which was a partnership between a commercial developer, one of which was here testifying earlier. They signed an agreement with our organization to deliver local community benefits to the vineyard. We believe that the industry has the ability to transform the Commonwealth's economy, our island's economy, and direct positive impacts of climate change. And I want to thank Director Hopper for being here as well. And as she stated in her testimony, it's now time for the Commonwealth to build upon the foundations that the federal government has laid out. Therefore, I'm here to also fully support Representative Tobias' bill, H2881, and that's to promote energy diversity in the Commonwealth. We fully appreciated and supported Representative Tobias' inclusive and transparent approach. She reached out to many stakeholders, including our community on Martha's Vineyard. It was a considered approach, and we believe it delivers the right balance. The governor was mentioning in his testimony earlier about a balanced, diversified approach. I think she achieved that in her bill. We particularly want to highlight and support the offshore wind procurement requirement in that bill, and highlight that since this legislation was introduced, the Commonwealth has now attracted some world-leading developers who gave their testimony earlier. And I say since the legislation, it might also be because the legislation was introduced. But this legislation has the ability to deliver long-term price stability and competitiveness. They can be quick to market. They can deliver clean energy at utility scale. And it's important to note that it's not one specific project we're speaking about, but we're speaking about an industry that has the potential to hire 20,000 jobs in the Commonwealth. So please include H2881 in the bill released from your committee. I'd also like to briefly comment, prior to previous testimony, on community empowerment, which is was mentioned by Representative Don, we're going to have, in the interest of the short time, we're going to hand out an executive summary, not go into too much detail. But community empowerment democratizes renewable energy by enabling all 350 municipalities in the Commonwealth to enter into long-term contracts with renewable energy developers. So it's not just with the investor-owned utilities. We want to give that power to every municipality. And every municipality then will decide locally which choice of technology they use. So we're really talking about diversifying choices at the local level. Community empowerment is supportive of the Green Communities Act. It's supportive of the Global Warming Solutions Act. It's consistent with the Electrical Restructuring Act of 1997. So it would be useful to build upon all the work that this legislature and committee has done in the past. So please support the inclusion of community empowerment in any comprehensive bill which may come out of this committee. We remain ready and able to meet with you in person. And I know we have met with some of you already, and we're also available to answer any questions that may occur today. Thank you.
Tobias, Chairman Glidden, Chairman Downey. I just wanted to, I had a whole list of notes from earlier that I wanted to talk about the specific details, but being a board member in the back end, I realized that a lot of key points were repeated off of it. So I just wanted to quickly sum up some of my thoughts and my experiences from tonight and the past and the travels. I have Vision Samson Island in Denmark. It's a 100% renewable community. They produce their own solar wind power. They also have solar hot water in this little plant. And one of the things I just wanted to bring up was that we talked a lot about and we kind of struggle across the aisle about this idea of cost. So how do we move forward and manage costs in an age where we need to keep costs down to be competitive, but at the same time move forward ethically to create the kind of society that we need. And one of the things I found in Samson and in Denmark, which is a small island off of Denmark, is that they encourage their communities to pursue solar and renewable because it increases the quality of life. In Denmark, there's a huge standard of quality of life. And that's really important because working as a member of the Board of Selectmen on Nantucket, we're running these problems where we're sitting down with unions negotiating, we're looking at 6% increases in healthcare costs. You're looking at sea level rise that's going to be wiping out your main historic infrastructure. You're looking at a wastewater facility that's going to be damaging endless numbers of costs down the line. And so I'd like to see this board move away from kind of apples to oranges comparisons on costs and look at the big picture. We really need to talk about what our society is going to be as we move forward dealing with energy and creating a society that people want to come to Massachusetts, people go to California because it's a great place to live. It's expensive to do business in California, but it's the seventh largest economy in the world. And the same goes for Germany. They took a serious stance on nuclear power. That was after the event of Fukushima. We were looking at nuclear problems in our state from the power plant, and we need to look past that and figure out and look at other communities and nations that have moved past this idea that it makes sense just to focus on the cost. It really doesn't make sense. We have to look at the big picture. So I just wanted to say I support Mrs. Haddad's bill, 2881, and I encourage you all to get it passed quickly if we can, but also keep in mind there's some other elements that we need to be conscious of. Richard Andre mentioned, mentioned that we, as a municipality, have trouble financing these projects. It's tough to put a big project on a balance sheet when you already have a number of other options. So we need to find ways that the community as a whole can buy into a project. And we'll get into those details later, but there's elements from costs that are fixed by ratepayers, and that's where we should be focusing on enabling municipalities to move forward, focusing on the ratepayers. So with that, I just say thank you very much. You guys have a long evening ahead of you. Keep your time down. That's a good call.
We invite you to stay. Any questions?